Hello, welcome to my channel, Hugo's Rules. Today, we're gonna actually, it's a bit different. I'm outside. I'm gonna go for a walk and talk. Um, and let's see how that goes. So today's topic, so let's get going here, is about narcissistic relationships. Uh, Sometimes we believe that we attract we are in a narcissistic relationships and we kind of like blame the partners or the others in our relationship for being showing narcissistic relation characteristics. They need to feed off, they need narcissistic supply. However, uh, in today's video, actually, I'm going to raise a kind of slightly different point of view here, and that is in a narcissistic relationship, the first hit of narcissistic supply actually is the one that gets the love bombing. So what I mean by that is when you're in a narcissistic relationship, and let's say you're the empathetic, you're the one that's doing all the supply kind of thing. The first narcissistic supply is the one that you got in the love bombing. See, the love bombing is your first hit of that narcissistic supply, and you got hooked on it. When we got hooked on it, we got addicted to it. See, that was the first hit of narcissistic supply that we got with this love bombing. And you got hooked on it, you got addicted to it, and then the rest of the relationship, you're trying to get more of it. And that's why you try to provide more and more, you're trying to recreate, you want to get that hit of narcissistic supply. So, in short, both parties in the narcissistic relationships are narcissistic, but in different ways. So, one gets the initial hit of narcissistic supply and the love bombing, and then tries to recreate it, tries to get it back in whatever ways. They get hooked on it, they get addicted to it, and they start to provide more and more. And the other side, the other party of the narcissistic relationship is the one that did the first initial investment. Think of it as an investment of this narcissistic supply, the love bombing, and then just waits back and then expects the returns. So, both parties in the narcissistic relationships are actually, there's a give and take in this narcissistic supply. The first party gets the first kind of like down payment, which is the love bombing, and then gets hooked on it, gets addicted to it, and tries to recreate it throughout the rest of the relationship. While the other party puts down the investment of this initial investment of love bombing, and they just sits back and expects the returns. And they both are getting basically narcissistic supply. So it's kind of like inverse. So one party receives the down payment and then starts to provide, start to recreate this moment. The other one just puts down the down payment and just sits back and then expects the returns. So what happens is that typically the ones that have received the love bombings and then they get the rest of the pattern of the narcissistic relationship, the devaluation and then discard. What happened is that the guy who the one who put the down payment on this investment, he puts the love bombing and then sits back and expects the returns. So he gets returns, they get the return, but then they start to see that it's not enough. So that's why they start to devalue. Not enough. So and then this is not, but it's not enough returned on my investment. And then eventually they do the discard because they know they're looking for another investment. Whereas the one that got the initial investment or initial hit of the love bombing, which is that's narcissistic supply, and then you got addicted to it, you want to recreate it, and you try harder and harder and harder to get that hit again. You get some of it, but it gets less and less. And so both parties are actually providing each other. There's a codependency of narcissistic supply. It's just like an inverse. The thing is that if you think of it like from a business perspective, is that the other party that's put the investment of love bombing, you can think that they put like, say, 20% down on this relationship, and they just sit back and expect 80% returns, or they get like 4 times the returns. Whereas the one that receives the narcissistic supply, initial, they got like 20%, and then they start putting out 3-4 times more into the relationship, trying to recreate it. And so what happens is that typically those that are in this initial, the first part, the party that received this initial hit of narcissistic love bombing, and they try to recreate it, they try to get back some of it. Eventually they get exhausted because they received this initial hit, and then they were trying to recreate it. No matter how hard they try, they're never going to get the same back. They may get some more love bombing later on, but it's not going to be the same as the initial one. And so eventually they run out of resources, they run out of energies, and this is when they start to turn and say, okay, I'm in this kind of relationship that's not worth continuing. And typically these people that are in this kind of side of the narcissistic side of the relationship, they're the ones who kind of like tend to wake up, because they invest, they receive like, say, 20%, and now they're going to put 2, 3, 4 more times to get those 20% back. And so they're the one who tend to run out of energy, run out of supply, run out of resources. They just give up, and this is when the wake up and the healing and the decision to leave this kind of relationship. So typically these people on that end of the spectrum of the relationship, they tend to wake up and start the healing process. The other side of the relationship, the narcissistic relationship, are the ones who put the initial love bombing, the down payment, and they just sit back and wait for returns. So they have really less of an incentive to wake up, because if they don't get narcissistic supply from you, they try to find other resources to get. So they have less incentive to wake up and to start to have self-awareness. But the bottom line in this actually little video is trying to show out that actually in the narcissistic relationships, both parties are narcissistic, but in different ways. So I hope that this kind of like help show that if you're in a narcissistic, toxic, dysfunctional relationship, both parties are responsible. Both parties attracted each other for this relationship, because there are no accidents, there are no coincidences. And so once you start to see that, they assume responsibility, that okay, I assume 100% responsibility for this relationship, and I have been also needing this narcissistic supply. So I got this initial love bombing, which kind of like a big hit, and you get overwhelmed, and you get intoxicated with it, you get addicted to it, and you try to replicate it throughout the rest of the relationship. So it is a narcissistic supply that you got hooked on it. Fortunately, that these people who eventually are more likely to wake up and say, okay, this is not working out, this is not what I want, this is not something that's healthful, and the healing starts to work. You start to work on your healing, on yourself. So this video is just to highlight that in a narcissistic relationship, it's not like the other party is narcissistic and you're just the victim. No. There are no victims. Both parties are narcissistic one way or the other. So I hope this kind of like little video kind of like shine the light on just a little bit of background on narcissistic dysfunctional relationships. In other videos, we're going to be talking about reasons and the deeper core of why we are addicted, or why we want narcissistic supply, and we'll discuss that in other videos. So I hope you like this video. Like, share, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. All right, take care. Bye for now.